Imagine the late summer of 1787. The intense heat of a long, historic season is finally beginning to break. We find ourselves in the quiet streets of Philadelphia, just as the sun gracefully dips below the horizon. The sky softens into deep hues of indigo and bruised purple, casting a gentle twilight over the city. It is a moment suspended in time, right on the threshold of autumn. Listen closely to the gentle rhythm of the evening. The slow, steady clip-clop of a single horse-drawn carriage echoes softly down a cobblestone street, growing fainter as it rounds a distant corner. A wooden sign sways imperceptibly, its iron hinges offering a low, rhythmic creak in the evening breeze. You can hear the rustle of turning elm leaves, dry and crisp, carrying the very first whispers of fall. From a nearby inn, a faint murmur of low voices drifts on the air, accompanied by the muffled clink of thick glass. It is the sound of a city settling down, exhaling the burdens of the day, wrapping itself in the quiet blanket of the approaching night. Through the gathering dusk, the city's sturdy red brick buildings take on a deep, warm hue, holding on to the last resting memories of the sun's warmth. Tall, quiet chimneys reach up toward the first appearing stars. In the windows along the street, small, warm glows begin to flicker to life. The soft, amber light of tallow candles and glowing hearths spills out into the cool evening air, painting long, comforting shadows across the pavement. The worn cobblestones are smooth, carrying the steady rhythm of countless steps. Dust motes dance lazily in the pools of soft lantern light, drifting without any hurry. The air smells faintly of wood smoke, old parchment, and dry earth, bringing a lasting sense of peace to this sturdy place. Behind one set of heavy wooden doors, a profound silence reigns in a room where an extraordinary vision was just carefully shaped. Empty chairs encircle calm tables scattered with brass inkwells and resting quill pens. The ink on a great, enduring document is slowly drying in the cool night air. It is a time of quiet reflection, of resting after a monumental labor, and of looking out toward a calm, new dawn. We are about to witness the gentle unfolding of a foundational era. It is the middle of May, in the year 1787. Across the vast, unfolding landscape of the American states, the deep frost of winter has long since melted into the soil, leaving behind the rich, damp scent of warming earth and newly blossoming foliage. From the jagged, salt-sprayed peninsulas of New England to the rolling, sun-drenched hills of the southern Carolinas, a quiet stillness rests over the continent. It is a time of slow growth and quiet observation. The great forests of oak, pine, and chestnut sway gently in the spring breezes, their leaves whispering a soft, rhythmic chorus that sweeps uninterrupted for hundreds of miles. Rivers, the slow, wide Potomac, the winding Connecticut, the muddy James, carry the snowmelt down from the high mountains, moving steadily toward the ocean in a peaceful, endless flow. In this calm season of renewal, the focus of a new, loosely bound nation turns toward Pennsylvania, taking root in the quiet, orderly streets of Philadelphia. Nestled between the broad, sweeping currents of the Delaware River and the calm, wandering path of the Schuylkill, Philadelphia is a city of uniform brick and paved stone, laid out in an elegant, rational grid. In the early hours of the morning, before the sun has fully crested the eastern horizon, the city is steeped in a soft, silvery light. A gentle mist rises from the docks along the Delaware, curling softly around the thick wooden masts of merchant vessels at anchor. The sounds of the waking city are muted and unhurried. Where the water meets the wharves, thick hemp ropes, braided tightly and weathered by the sea, stretch and groan with a low, rhythmic creak as the hulls of the ships slowly rise and fall on the morning tide. The water laps patiently at the wooden pilings, a steady, splashing murmur that washes away the quiet of the night. Along the cobblestone streets, life begins to stir with a measured, deliberate pace. A horse-drawn wagon moves along Front Street, the wooden wheels rolling heavily over the stones with a deep, rumbling hum, accompanied by the dull, rhythmic clop of the horse's hooves. There is nothing rushed about this morning. The air is cool, carrying the scent of damp brick, wood smoke from early cooking fires, and the faint, sweet aroma of baking bread escaping from a nearby hearth. Down a quiet alleyway, inside one of the city's many small workshops, a printing press is already in motion. The process of printing in this era is a deeply tactile, methodical craft, demanding patience and a steady hand. The printer stands before his heavy, oak-framed press. Slowly, he takes the ink balls, two rounded pads made of soft sheepskin and stuffed with wool, and works the thick, dark ink across their surfaces. The ink, made from crushed oak galls, iron salts, and tree resin, gives off a rich, earthy scent. The printer rocks the leather pads together in a practiced, circular motion, producing a soft, tacky rhythm that echoes gently in the small room. He dabs the ink evenly over the metal type, which has been carefully set, letter by individual letter, in a heavy iron frame. Next, he lays a large sheet of thick, damp linen paper over the freshly inked letters. This paper has been crafted from rags, soaked and beaten into a pulp, then strained through a wire mesh and left to dry in the mild air of the lofts. It feels heavy and soft to the touch, carrying the texture of the cloth from which it was made. The printer grasps the long, polished wooden lever of the press and pulls it toward himself, letting his weight draw the heavy metal platen down onto the paper. The press closes with a deep, solid, muffled thud. The pressure is even, forcing the dark ink deep into the fibers of the damp sheet. Slowly, the lever is released, and the platen rises. The printer lifts the paper, revealing the crisp, black words pressed flawlessly into the page. He sets it aside to dry, and the methodical, rhythmic process begins again, a steady heartbeat hidden within the walls of the waking city. A few blocks away, standing prominently on Chestnut Street, is the Pennsylvania State House. It is a sturdy, handsome building of red brick, adorned with white wooden trim and a tall, graceful clock tower that reaches patiently up into the pale morning sky. It is here, within the assembly room on the ground floor, that men from across the 13 states have begun to gently gather. The room itself invites a sense of calm reflection. It is spacious and airy, with a high, white-plastered ceiling and tall, multi-paned windows evenly spaced along the long walls. As the sun rises higher over the city, warm, golden beams of light slant through the glass, illuminating tiny motes of dust that dance lazily in the quiet air. The floorboards in the assembly room are made of wide, sturdy planks of pine, worn smooth by the passage of time. Arranged symmetrically across the floor are rows of heavy wooden tables, each covered in soft, dark green baize cloth that absorbs the sound of shifting papers and the gentle scratching of goosequill pens. Small, polished brass inkwells sit quietly at the center of the tables, waiting for the delegates to take their seats. One of the first to arrive, having braved the muddy spring roads from Virginia days ahead of the others, is James Madison. He is a slightly built, thoughtful man whose mind is accustomed to deep, structured contemplation. Madison moves about his desk with a calm, unhurried precision. The quiet rustle of his woolen coat and the soft scrape of his leather shoes are the only sounds as he arranges his materials. He lays out his thick quires of paper, smooths them with the palm of his hand, and prepares his notes on ancient governments and confederations. There is a profound tranquility in his methodical preparation. He dips his quill gently into the brass inkwell, taps the rim to release the excess droplet, and begins to write. The tip of the feather glides smoothly across the slightly textured paper, producing a continuous, soothing whisper of a sound. Soon, the arrival of others adds to the quiet symphony of the room. Heavy wooden doors open and close with a solid, reassuring weight. Footsteps cross the long hall, muffled by layers of clothing and the steady, grounded presence of the men who wear them. When General George Washington enters the assembly room, the atmosphere deepens into a solemn, comfortable reverence. He is a tall, composed figure, his face lined with the weather and wear of military campaigns, yet he carries himself now with the serene grace of a farmer returning to simpler tasks. Washington does not demand attention with loud proclamations. Instead, he speaks in measured, resonant tones, his voice a low, steady murmur that naturally puts those around him at ease. When he steps up to the large, high-backed wooden chair positioned at the front of the room, he settles into it with a slow, deliberate slowness, feeling the smooth wood beneath his hands, ready to quietly guide the proceedings. Through the large windows, the city outside continues its gentle morning rhythm. The distant, mellow tolling of a church bell chimes the hour, the sound rolling softly over the red brick roofs and dissolving into the open sky above the State House. The breeze lightly rattles the wooden window frames, carrying the scent of fresh-cut grass and warming stone into the assembly. The men who sit in this sunlit room share a quiet, monumental purpose. They have come not to fight, nor to rush, but to carefully, patiently weave the loosely bound states into a single, cohesive fabric. The future of the Union and the peace of the new government were a quiet horizon waiting to be discovered, day by day. There is no fear or anxiety in this endeavor, merely the slow, steadfast work of building something meant to last. Like the printer pressing ink into damp parchment, or the carpenter shaping an oak beam for a sturdy roof, these men understand that enduring strength requires immense patience, clear intentions, and the gentle passage of time. As the morning wanes into a tranquil, golden afternoon, the light shifts across the green cloth of the tables, casting long, soft shadows across the wooden floorboards. The assembly settles into its long rhythm of discourse, surrounded by the comforting sounds of rustling pages, quiet, melodic voices, and the steady, dependable heartbeat of the city outside. They are preparing, slowly and carefully, to draft a new architecture for the growing nation. As the month of May deepens into June, the vibrant spring of 1787 begins to surrender softly to the approaching summer. The city of Philadelphia, then the bustling, beating heart of the American states, wakes each morning to a pale, misty light that rolls gently off the Delaware River. It is a city of sturdy, honest materials. The buildings are laid out in an orderly grid, a testament to careful planning and measured thought, constructed block by block from deep, rich red brick. As you walk along these streets in your mind's eye, you can sense the quiet, historical weight of this place. Listen closely to the morning sounds of the 18th century city waking up around you. Long before the roar of modern engines, the soundscape of the world was organic, made of wood and iron and earth. Down a nearby avenue, the slow, rhythmic rumble of a wooden wagon makes its steady progression over smooth, worn cobblestones. The sound is a low, rolling vibration, accompanied by the steady, unhurried clip-clop of a draft horse's hooves. Asterisk clip, clop, clip, clop. Asterisk. The sound bounces softly against the tall brick facades of the merchants' homes, carrying clearly in the cool, crisp morning air. From the distance, the muffled, melodic peal of a church bell chimes the hour. The ring of the cast bronze is sweet and clear, hanging in the air like a physical presence before slowly dissolving into the morning mist. Beneath the bell's fading tone, you can hear the faint, ambient rustle of daily life. The sweeping of a broom over stone steps. The low, polite murmurs of neighbors greeting one another on corners. The soft creak of a leather saddle. All of these sounds blend together into a calming, steady symphony of a world moving at the speed of human footsteps. At the center of this waking city stands the Pennsylvania State House, a dignified building flanked by tall, arching trees yielding gentle shade. Here, men from across the 13 states are slowly arriving, gathering with a quiet sense of gravity. They step out into the courtyard, their boots scuffing softly against the paving stones. As they exchange morning pleasantries, their voices are hushed, respectful, taking on the hushed tones of a library. They are about to embark upon a grand, intricate puzzle, one of the most remarkable acts of collective architecture in human history. Let us follow them inside, passing beneath the great brick archways and into the spacious assembly room on the first floor. As the heavy, solid oak doors gently swing shut behind the last arriving delegate, the brass latch drops into place with a definitive, reassuring click. Immediately, the acoustic texture of the world changes. The sprawling, ambient noise of the outdoor streets is sealed away. The room feels close, resonant, and intensely private. The high plastered walls and the wide, smoothly planed wooden floorboards create soft, warm acoustics. Every footstep, every pulled chair, is met with a low, grounding echo. In this calm, enclosed space, the historical context of their gathering begins to unfold. The young republic, having secured its independence a few years prior, is drifting like a fleet of ships with no central anchor. The Articles of Confederation, the original framework holding the states together, are turning out to be too loose, too fragile a thread to bind such a vast and varied landscape together. There is no grand crisis to be met with adrenaline or panic. Instead, there is simply a quiet, collective realization among thoughtful minds that a new foundation must be laid. They have come not to fix the old structure, but, with painstaking care, to draft a new one entirely. Shift your attention now to the tactile reality of this room. The world of 1787 is a deeply textured one, governed by the immediate feel of natural materials. Run your hand, in your imagination, along the edge of the delegates' writing desks. The mahogany wood is smooth, cool to the touch, and polished to a rich, dark luster by beeswax and the gentle friction of countless coat sleeves. It feels solid and unyielding, a steady surface built to last for generations. Consider the clothing of the men seated at these desks. There is a heavy, comforting weight to their attire. The thick wool of their tailored broadcloth coats rests heavily on their shoulders. The fabric is sturdy block-woven wool, tightly spun to ward off the chill of the morning. Beneath the wool, the smooth, crisp texture of pale linen shirts rests lightly against the skin. Elaborate waistcoats of stitched silk create a slight, soft rustling sound whenever a delegate leans forward to inspect a document. The men wear highly polished leather shoes with heavy silver and brass buckles that are cool and smooth to the fingertips, reflecting the gentle sunlight pouring through the tall, multi-paned windows. At the head of the room, seated in a high-backed wooden chair bearing the carving of a half-sun, is George Washington. He presides over the room with a calm, silent strength. He speaks very little, but his mere presence anchors the room, steadying the atmosphere whenever the air grows warm with intricate debate. The rhythm of their work is slow, measured by the tactile process of writing by hand. There are no keyboards to clatter, no screens to glow. Instead, the primary sound of creation in this room is the rhythmic, sharp scratching of trimmed goosequill pens against thick, textured parchment paper. Listen to it. Asterisk scratch, scuff, scratch dot asterisk. It is a highly deliberate, soothing sound. To write is a physical commitment. A delegate must carefully dip the hollow tip of his long feather quill into a heavy brass inkwell. The ink itself is cool and dark, smelling faintly of iron and oak galls. When the wet words are finally laid upon the heavy, fibrous surface of the laid paper, a small wooden shaker is lifted, and a fine layer of dry, powdery pounce, a type of fine sand, is sprinkled over the page to dry the ink. The soft asterisk shush asterisk sound of the sand dusting the paper, followed by the dry rustle of the powder being tapped away, marks the completion of a thought. Every idea, every clause, and every proposed law in this room must be crafted with this slow, physical deliberation. The pace of the era naturally enforces a kind of thoughtful patience. Among these careful writers is James Madison, a slender man sitting quietly near the front, surrounded by small mountains of leather-bound books. He has spent the better part of a year reading ancient histories, studying the rise and fall of distant republics. The books on his desk are beautiful, tactile objects. The bindings are made of supple calfskin leather that feels soft and lightly porous to the touch. As he turns the pages, the thick, rag cotton paper offers a deep, satisfying rustle, a sound rich with the weight of old and lasting knowledge. Through the quiet rustle of paper and the scratching of quills, a turning point in history begins to naturally unfold. It becomes clear that building a new government requires a masterstroke of balance. The large states, with their sprawling fields and bustling ports, wish for a voice that matches their size. The smaller states, with their tight-knit communities and coastal bays, wish for an equal standing, fearing their voices might be lost in the vastness of the continent. The solution to this deeply complex knot does not arrive like a sudden flash of lightning, but rather like the slow, careful turning of a heavy iron key in a complex lock. The delegates embark on a long, slow process of compromise. Compromise is an art of careful measuring. It is like adjusting the weights on an old brass scale until the two small, polished pans hang in perfect, absolute equilibrium. Men rise to speak one by one. Their voices are a calming array of auditory textures. There is the slow, deliberate drawl of a southern delegate, smoothing out vowel sounds until they roll like a gentle river. There is the clipped, precise, and practical cadence of a New Englander, shaping concepts of law with mathematical clarity. The room acts as an acoustic chamber for these ideas, blending the various regional tones into a single, unified drone of respectful diplomacy. Finally, a gentle shift occurs in the room's atmosphere. The great architecture of the legislature is conceptualized, built on a balanced foundation. They design a lower house, meant to shift and flow with the population, reflecting the immediate will of the many. And they design an upper house, a senate, where every state shall stand shoulder to shoulder, entirely equal, acting as a cooling saucer to hot ideas, a steadying hand in times of change. When the shape of this compromise settles comfortably over the room, you can almost palpably feel the tension release from the muscles of the men. Shoulders drop slightly. The grip on the carved wooden walking sticks relaxes. The humid air of the Philadelphia summer, pressing heavy and warm against the tall window panes, somehow feels a little lighter, a little easier to breathe. As the afternoon wears on, the sensory details of the room subtly deepen. A tall grandfather clock in the corner of the room marks the passage of time. Its pendulum swings with a slow, hypnotic rhythm. Asterisk tick, tock, tick, tock. Asterisk. The sound is deeply grounding, a steady heartbeat beneath the currents of historical debate. The brass gears inside the wooden case were softly for just a fraction of a second before a small, velvety hammer strikes a coiled gong to announce the mid-afternoon hour. The sunlight slowly shifts its angle, moving in warm, long golden rectangles across the wide plank floors. Dust motes, disturbed by the shifting of heavy chairs and the occasional pacing of a deep thinker, dance lazily in the shafts of light. The room grows wonderfully warm. It is a comfortable, encompassing heat, the kind that naturally invites a feeling of drowsiness, of wrapping up the labors of the day. The delegates begin to pack away their instruments of creation. The tactile ritual of closing up the day echoes the careful opening. Quill pens are carefully wiped clean of dark ink with small, soft pieces of linen rag. Glass bottles of black and brown ink are stopped with solid, smooth corks, twisted securely into place with a faint squeaking sound. Stacks of thick paper, laden with the day's profound architecture, are gathered, tapped gently against the desktop to align the edges, and slipped into soft, worn leather satchels. The scraping of wooden chair legs across the polished floorboards signals the end of the session. The men stand, stretching muscles that have grown stiff from hours of deep thought, feeling the welcome pull and tug of their heavy garments as they adjust their waistcoats. One by one, they move back toward the heavy oak doors. As the great iron latch is lifted, the doors pull inward, accompanied by the gentle sigh of slightly shifting air pressure. Stepping out over the threshold, they transition back into the auditory embrace of the late afternoon city. The sound of the solitary clock ticking in the silent chamber is left behind, replaced once again by the soft evening sounds of 1787. The gentle flutter of leaves overhead in the courtyard trees, agitated by an early evening breeze. The distant, comforting call of a street vendor selling fresh apples. They disperse down the brick-lined streets, shadows growing long and comforting behind them, carrying with them the quiet satisfaction of a foundation well laid. The documents remain resting on the cool desks inside, the ink completely dry, waiting peacefully through the cooling twilight for the sun to rise again, bringing with it yet another gentle day of careful, monumental crafting. The heat of a long, historic summer has finally broken in the city, replaced by the cooling breezes of late September. Inside the assembly room of the Pennsylvania State House, the shifting afternoon sunlight filters through the tall, multi-paned windows. It casts long, pale rectangular shadows across the wooden floorboards, moving imperceptibly as the hours wane. At the front of the room, on a desk covered in green baize cloth, rests a large sheet of thick, durable parchment. The surface of the animal's skin is smooth, pale and cream-colored, prepared with careful hands to receive something permanent. The ink, dark and rich, made from iron gall, waits in a small glass well. A slender quill, fashioned from the strong feather of a goose, lies beside it. The room, which for so many weeks was filled with the heavy rustle of debate and the murmur of shifting papers, has settled into a profound stillness. The time for deliberation has closed. The time for finalizing this quiet labor has arrived. One by one, the men rise from their scattered wooden chairs. They step forward with a measured, deliberate pace. There is no haste in their movements, only the steady rhythm of footfalls against the bare wooden floor. Each step carries the weight of a long season's work, a quiet culmination of shared thought and careful compromise. As they approach the table, the soft scratch of the quill against the parchment begins. It is a delicate, rhythmic scratching, a quiet testament to the momentous occasion. Each signature is a small, careful act of creation, looping lines and firm strokes that leave a lasting mark upon the page. Fine sand is lightly sprinkled over the wet ink to dry it, landing with a soft, whispering sound before being gently brushed away. With every careful name added to the broad parchment, the heavy burden of the summer seems to lift, giving way to a nascent, quiet hope. The architecture of a new society has been written not with stone or mortar, but with measured sentences and carefully chosen words. Look closely at the document resting on the green baize. The handwriting is a flowing, elegant script, an art form taught in candlelit rooms and practiced over countless quiet evenings. The letters are dark and prominent against the pale canvas of the parchment. In the slanting autumn sunlight, the fresh ink holds a subtle, almost metallic sheen, reflecting the room's gentle glow before dulling into a permanent, matte finish. The words themselves are structured and balanced, divided into careful sections that speak of balance, order, and calm continuity. The physical parchment holds a certain resilience, a quiet strength beneath its smooth surface, mirroring the very foundation it seeks to establish. It is a fragile thing, merely ink and cured skin, yet it carries the profound weight of a shared vision. Around the desk, the air is still. Dust motes dance lazily in the shafts of light, small specks of gold drifting without any rush or direction. The world outside the tall windows continues its steady pace, completely unaware of the quiet transformation completing itself within these brick walls. Beyond the heavy doors of the State House, the momentous vision begins its slow journey outward, carried in quiet hands to a local printer's shop. In this warmly lit, wood-paneled room, a different kind of quiet labor takes place. The air smells natively of linseed oil, soot, and the rich, earthy scent of damp paper. The printer and his apprentices work with a steady, hypnotic rhythm. Small, dark metal blocks, each carved with a single letter in reverse, are selected from wooden cases with practiced precision. Row by row, slowly and methodically, the blueprint of the new government is arranged into a sturdy iron chase. Thick, black ink is rolled smoothly over the raised metal letters, leaving a gleaming, dark surface ready to transfer its message. A clean, damp sheet of paper is laid carefully over the type, and the heavy wooden press is pulled with a slow, powerful motion. The soft sigh of the paper accepting the ink is followed by the realization that the words are no longer confined to a single sheet of parchment. They are ready to spread across a vast and waiting landscape. Before the evening arrives, while the day is still bathed in golden afternoon light, the news moves outward into the bustling marketplace. Picture a wide, open square paved with uneven cobblestones, bordered by sturdy brick facades with steep slate roofs. Canvas awnings, dyed deep hues of indigo and forest green, cast cooling shadows over the wooden stalls. Here, the visual tapestry of the era is vibrant and alive. Great woven baskets overflow with the autumn harvest. Plump, deep purple plums, bright orange pumpkins with thick, twisting stems, and bushels of crisp, red apples catch the sunlight. The rich texture of rough-hewn burlap sacks, brimming with flour and grains, sits heavy on the wooden tables. People weave gently through the narrow paths between vendors. Women in sweeping skirts of muted brown and soft grey wool carry wicker baskets on their arms. Men in linen shirts with rolled cuffs inspect the newly arrived wares. The news of the completed document passes silently between hands in the form of freshly printed broadsides, crisp and white against the earthy tones of the market. The marketplace absorbs the news with a quiet, nodding dignity, the visual rhythms of trade continuing in harmonious flow. Across town, in the quiet seclusion of a scholar's study, a different visual scene unfolds. The room is lined from floor to ceiling with wooden bookshelves, the dark mahogany glowing warmly in the afternoon sun. The shelves carry the weight of countless leather-bound volumes. Their spines are rich burgundy, deeply burnished brown, and faded moss green, stamped with softly glinting gold leaf lettering. A large, claw-footed desk dominates the center of the room, its surface a landscape of neat organization. Stacks of parchment, a small brass telescope, and an old, beautifully painted globe of the world sit quietly in the amber light. In this sanctuary of thought, a man sits reading one of the first printed copies of the new framework. He runs a careful finger down the margin of the page. The light from the window catches the fine dust suspended in the quiet air, illuminated like tiny stars in a miniature galaxy. Beyond the glass panes of his study window, the leaves of a grand oak tree drift lazily to the manicured lawn below. In this room, surrounded by the enduring wisdom of past ages, the newly formed words find their peaceful place in the long, quiet continuum of human history. In the quiet hours of early morning, before the sun has fully crested the horizon, solitary riders prepare to leave the cobbled streets of the city. The early sky is a gradient of soft charcoal and deep, velvety blue. Leather saddlebags, supple and worn smooth by years of travel, securely hold the freshly printed pages. The breath of the horses rises in small, white plumes in the crisp autumn air. As the riders set out, the rhythm of their journey is steady and unhurried. The soft cadence of hooves on packed dirt roads echoes gently through the waking countryside. They ride past fields where the morning dew hangs heavy on tall grass, catching the first pale, golden rays of sunlight. The shadows of the riders stretch long across the ground, gliding perfectly over wooden fences, stone walls, and quiet, sleeping farmhouses. They carry with them a document that will soon be unfolded on simple kitchen tables, read in quiet studies, and discussed by the dim, flickering light of hearth fires. The vastness of the continent stretches out before them, an endless expanse of rolling hills, deep forests, and quiet valleys waiting for the morning light. Further away, along the docks of early port towns, a wide-hulled merchant ship prepares to carry the printed news along the coastal waters. Picture the scene at the water's edge. The tide is slowly rolling in, bringing with it the crisp, clean scent of deep marine brine. The water is a tranquil, glassy green, gently lapping against the wooden pilings of the wharf with a soothing, repetitive rhythm. The ship itself is a marvel of sturdy oak planks and tall, reaching pine masts. Great lengths of canvas sail are tightly furled, resting against the heavy crossbeams like sleeping giants waiting for the wind. The sailors move about the deck with practiced grace, coiling thick hemp ropes, the coarse fibers woven tight and strong. In the captain's quarters, below the gently swaying deck, a window looks out over the vast expanse of the bay. The light reflecting off the water dances across the low wooden ceiling of the cabin. Here, carefully protected from the damp sea air, the printed words of the new Constitution sit on a simple wooden desk. The rhythmic, rocking motion of the hull cradles the documents, bringing them safely along the coast. As the ship travels, it traces the edge of a great, quiet wilderness. To the west, the deep green of the coastal pines stretches on endlessly. Small harbors and coves silently open up, welcoming the vessel with calm, sheltered waters. In these coastal towns, life moves softly in harmony with the gentle pull of the tides. Wooden docks reach out into the bays, adorned with coiled ropes, stacked barrels, and small fishing nets drying in the pale afternoon sun. When the news arrives, it is passed from hand to hand in the quiet warmth of local taverns and meeting houses. Imagine a small room clad in weathered clapboard, where the sunlight streams through a tiny, rippled glass window. A group of neighbors gathers around a broad wooden table. The paper is smoothed out by hands rough from mending nets and tending sails. There is no loud debate, just the soft murmur of voices reading the steady, measured language of the text. The words speak of shared defense, of common welfare, and of a lasting unity. Outside, the gulls glide silently on the sea breeze, and the rhythm of the ocean continues its eternal, restful pulse. Inward, far away from the salt air, the ripple of this pivotal moment reaches the quiet agrarian heartlands. The long harvest season is beginning to yield its final bounty. In a modest farmhouse, sitting at the edge of a large, cleared field, the physical work of the day has gracefully concluded. The sun hangs low, a vibrant orange gently melting into the dark silhouette of the tree line. Inside, the golden light of a single tallow candle illuminates a small corner of a common room. The stone hearth radiates a gentle, residual heat from a small evening fire. A farmer sits in a high-backed wooden chair, holding a single printed page. The paper is slightly rumpled from its long journey in a stillbag, bearing the faint crease marks of travel. As his eyes move slowly over the lines of type, the profound concept of a unified republic settles into the quiet space of his home. Through the open window, the visual splendor of autumn begins to fade in the twilight. The leaves of the maple and oak trees are turning soft shades of amber, rust, and burnt sienna, preparing for their long winter rest. The light continues to fade. The day softens. The great task is complete. It unspools across the landscape safely. The idea is taking root. Across countless miles of quiet country, the evening settles. People return to their homes. The heavy doors are latched. The wooden shutters are drawn. A profound stillness forms. It covers the vast land. The busy work of the day gently melts away. The minds that wrestled with great ideas turn to rest. The parchment remains secure in the quiet city. The printed copies rest on calm tables. The ink is completely dry. The words are silent. They remain awake, keeping a low, steady vigil. They hold the enduring shape of a new world. They ask nothing more of the day. The structure is built. Look out over the rolling hills. The fading dusk arrives. The colors of the world shift. They turn to muted blues and deep grays. The vibrant greens of the forest slip into comfortable shadows. The sharp edges of the landscape round out. They blur into complete softness. A low-ground fog forms in the valleys. It is thin and wispy at first. It slowly gathers over the cool, damp earth. It blankets the roots of ancient trees. It softens the lines of the long wooden fences. The sky overhead deepens into indigo. The first stars gently appear. They are pale and beautifully distant in the twilight. They emerge one by one, quiet watchers over a sleeping continent. There is a deep comfort here, a feeling of endless space, a gentle reminder of peace. Listen to the natural world preparing for the night. The deer find rest in the tall, whispering grasses. The birds tuck themselves securely into high branches. The streams continue their slow, winding journey. They travel over smooth river stones. They murmur a quiet, endless lullaby. The wind dies down to a gentle sigh. It barely rustles the dry canopy of leaves. The earth itself seems to breathe slowly, in and out, measured and calm. The great and loud events of history pause. The dates and the names begin to fade. They blend into the natural, auditory rhythm of the night. True peace settles over the quiet farms. It covers the still ports. It blankets the hushed streets. The new framework rests under the darkness. The grand idea peacefully sleeps. It is a quiet foundation, a protective canopy woven of gentle thought and reason. It holds the space securely for tomorrow. Tomorrow is very far away. Now, there is only the quiet, the comforting, silent embrace of the evening, the slow turn of the earth. Let the quiet spread. Let the stillness deepen. The labor is entirely done. The legacy is safe. The night is long. The rest is completely well earned. The world breathes deeply in the calm dark. Safe, secure, at peace. The daylight slowly softens into deep hues of bruised indigo. The intense heat of a historic summer has finally passed. Silence settles comfortably over the quiet, narrow cobblestone streets. The great and monumental work is entirely finished now. The fierce, passionate debates have faded into the gentle past. It is a peaceful time for the young nation to rest. Inside the old print shop, shadows stretch across the floorboards. The heavy iron printing press stands completely and utterly motionless. It is a quiet monument of enduring, deeply grounded strength. An aged craftsman rests his hands on the cold metal. The iron is smooth beneath his calloused, ink-stained fingertips. It feels solid and permanent in the dim evening light. He remembers the loud, clattering rhythm of the long summer. He recalls the incredible urgency of the drying black ink. He remembers grand words being pressed firmly into heavy parchment. Now, a profound and heavy stillness fills his small workshop. What remains is a lasting, deeply peaceful kind of settlement. The foundation of a new republic is firmly set in place. He runs a tired hand over a stack of paper. The heavy, woven cotton pages are perfectly cool to the touch. Their slightly rough edges bring a comforting, deeply familiar texture. The strong scent of iron gall ink lingers heavily here. It is sharp, dark, earthy, and feels profoundly historic. It mingles quietly with the dry dust of the room. He slowly and carefully closes the small wooden type drawers. The tiny lead letters clink softly against one another. The metallic sound is muffled by the thick evening air. His workshop smells richly of linseed oil and melted beeswax. He wipes a dark rag across a stained wooden bench. A faint scent of sharp turpentine rises for a passing moment. A single tallow candle burns steadily on his sturdy desk. A warm, soft amber glow falls across his weathered tools. The brass measuring rules gleam softly in the dim light. He gently blows out the small, quietly flickering candle. A gentle wisp of grey smoke rises into the dark air. The craftsman locks the heavy, thick wooden door behind him. He steps out onto the worn, uneven cobblestone street. The grey stones are smooth and cool beneath his leather boots. They hold the careful polish of countless passing footsteps over time. A wispy fog begins to roll in loudly from the harbour. It brings the subtle, profoundly clean aroma of sea salt. The dampness softly blurs the sharp corners of the brick buildings. He walks slowly down the quiet, narrow city lane. The heavy heels of his boots make a soft, rhythmic sound. It is a reassuring repetition against the ancient stone path. He brushes his weathered hand against a red brick wall. The baked clay feels chalky, porous, and wonderfully rough. These sturdy walls will stand for many quiet, peaceful centuries. A few streets away, a lone scholar sits quietly working. His study is lined with tall, heavy wooden bookshelves. The dark walnut wood absorbs the remaining, dim candlelight. He traces a gentle finger along the ribbed spine of a book. The soft calfskin leather feels wonderfully supple and enduring. He pulls the massive, heavy volume off the highest shelf. The thick pages rustle with a slow, deeply heavy whisper. It is a profoundly soothing and instantly familiar kind of sound. He lays the open book onto a green felt desk. The woolen felt is incredibly soft beneath his resting hands. It gracefully dampens any sound of movement in the quiet room. He smooths out a large, heavily folded parchment map within. He reads the timeless words of the newly founded Constitution. The bold letters are pressed deep into the heavy cotton paper. He can feel the slight, tactile indentation of every single word. The physical impression perfectly matches their incredibly profound legacy. They are permanently carved into the very fabric of the nation. The grand history of the founding era is entirely safe. A silver pocket watch ticks softly in the scholar's vest. The tiny mechanical rhythm is endlessly mesmerizing and incredibly steady. It safely measures the peaceful progression of the calm night. The scholar takes a slow, remarkably deep breath of the air. The pleasant scent of dry lavender rises from the turning pages. It brings a calming, floral note to the earthy library dust. He pushes his sturdy wooden chair comfortably back from the desk. The carved legs glide softly over a thick, woven woolen rug. He walks toward the small, paned window to look quietly outside. Further down the winding river, a tired traveler finds his rest. He sits comfortably by the glowing hearth of a quiet inn. The long wooden bench beneath him is carved wonderfully smooth. The dying embers glow with a rich, soft, beautiful orange light. They pop softly, sending tiny golden sparks into the stone chimney. The rough fieldstone of the fireplace smells deeply of pine soot. The weary traveler wraps a heavy wool blanket around his shoulders. The slightly coarse wool fibers scratch gently against his linen shirt. It is a weighty, comforting, and incredibly grounding texture. A smooth ceramic mug of warm cider rests firmly in his palms. The thick, glazed porcelain transfers a steady, deeply pleasant heat. Bitter cloves and sweet cinnamon slowly rise in the fragrant steam. He carefully sets the heavy mug down on a scarred oak table. A dull, hollow thud echoes gently against the quiet wooden walls. The aged innkeeper tenderly sweeps the brick hearth with a straw broom. The dry, continuous scratching of the stiff straw is a peaceful rhythm. It quietly sweeps away the ashes of the long, tiring day. The smell of dry, dusty herbs hangs heavily from the ceiling beams. Small bunches of rosemary and garden sage are tied safely with twine. The delightful scent is gently earthy, warm, and entirely comforting. From the dark kitchen, the beautiful scent of fresh bread lingers. A faint hint of sweet, slowly roasted root vegetables proudly remains. These aromas are profoundly domestic, beautifully simple, and remarkably ordinary. They are the true, enduring essence of a newly settled peace. The great, historic battles are joyfully completed and entirely finished here. What proudly remains is the quiet safety of an open, sturdy road. The beautiful Constitution simply offers the freedom to sit quietly. The traveler slowly closes his weary, deeply heavy eyelids. He carefully listens to the cool wind softly rattling the window pane. The glass is wonderfully thick, slightly warped, and completely secure. The entire sprawling city now sinks into a remarkably profound slumber. The dense sea fog slowly thickens, gently dampening every remaining sound. The great legacy of the founders is resting in these quiet stones. It is deeply felt in the steady beams of the strong houses. It flows safely in the calm, gentle waters of the rolling river. A distant, towering church bell tolls a single, wonderful low note. The deep, beautiful bronze sound hums faintly through the heavy, misty air. It trembles lightly in the chest, then slowly and gracefully fades away. It leaves a rich, velvety silence resting over the sleeping roofs. In a nearby cobbled courtyard, a dry elm leaf gently scrapes. The sound is incredibly delicate, beautifully hollow, and very light. It skips quietly across the stones and then entirely stops. A slightly rusted iron lantern swings gently on its metal hook. A low, comforting creak firmly accompanies each extremely slow, lazy sway. The rich scent of heavy rain gently mingles with the sea salt. A delicate, gentle mist gathers softly on the curved wooden window frames. Tiny droplets slide quietly down the remarkably smooth, perfectly cold glass. The damp stone of the massive city walls drinks the cool moisture. A quiet, wandering stray dog pads cautiously down an entirely empty alley. Its claws softly click beautifully against the hard, incredibly uneven pavement. The rhythmic sound disappears wonderfully quickly round a dark, quiet corner. The deep, distant river washes gently against the enormous wooden pier pilings. A low, remarkably steady sloshing creates a wonderful, deeply lulling rhythm. The heavy burdens of profound creation are finally and permanently set down. A long, beautifully low creak gently sounds from some distant wooden floorboards. It is simply the shifting of strong timbers settling into the cool night. The thick plaster walls somehow seem to exhale a slow, collective breath. Absolute, endless silence comfortably rushes back in to fill the hollow gap. The silence itself takes on a deeply heavy, incredibly comforting texture. The slow murmur of the wind safely moves through the dark chimneys. It beautifully creates a hollow, whistling hum that slowly rises and falls. The gentle sound gracefully rises like the quiet breathing of a resting creature. The incredibly faint sound of a horse's long breath carries from the stable. A steady, rhythmic snort precedes the soft, beautiful crunch of lovely dry hay. Then, the sounds become significantly fewer and much further between. The world happily gives itself over entirely to complete and utter sleep. A single, solitary drop of moisture falls heavily from a low roof eave. It carefully hits a massive wooden barrel with a tiny, incredibly hollow tap. An entire minute passes slowly before another beautiful drop finally falls. The incredibly slow pace of the dripping water perfectly marks the deep hours. The tall, proud ship masts in the harbor sway incredibly gently together. Thick, heavy ropes creak remarkably faintly under incredibly slow, swaying tension. The pure, lovely physical world is slowly fading, beautifully merging into gentle sound. Only the relaxing ambient vibrations of the quiet, beautiful harbor remain here. The immensely soft, rustling sound of gentle leaves perfectly fills the peaceful air. The endlessly gentle lapping of perfectly calm and magnificently steady water continues on. The history of the new nation finally takes a long, greatly deserved rest. The founding era entirely belongs safely to the deep and silent night. The beautiful republic wonderfully rests entirely completely undisturbed in the deep darkness. History gently and peacefully settles deeply into a profound and enduring slumber. The magnificent, long evening proudly offers an entirely permanent and beautiful calm. Project_root output 03_ manuscript chapter 4.md ===. The great debates have finally reached their end. The heavy wooden doors of the assembly are drawn shut. Outside, the evening air grows deeply calm and chill. Autumn settles firmly over the cobblestone streets. Philadelphia slumbers beneath a vast, velvet night sky. The voices of statesmen have faded into pure silence. Down a narrow, winding brick alleyway, a single-paned window glows with warm, amber light. It is the modest workshop of a local printer. The air outside smells of distant pine wood smoke. Inside, it smells of rich, roasted linseed oil. A thick scent of dark ink and damp earth. The hearth fires in the corners have burned low. The heavy iron press dominates the center of the room. It stands like a quiet, sleeping giant in the shadows. A sturdy monument of solid oak, iron, and stone. Here, history takes its lasting, physical form. The master printer rests at his heavily scarred bench. His hands are rough, calloused, and stained completely dark. He is a quiet, devoted craftsman of enduring words. The delicate fate of a nation rests in his weary fingers. He breathes slowly in the quiet warmth of the shop. He reaches into a partitioned, shallow wooden case. The wood is smooth and polished from years of constant touch. He picks up a remarkably small piece of cast lead. It is dense, delightfully cool, and perfectly, sharply shaped. His roughened thumb gently traces the raised metal surface. Every carved edge is distinct, precise, and exact. It is the capital letter W. He places it perfectly into the heavy iron chase. Then follows a smooth, lowercase e. These tiny fragments of metal hold immense, quiet power. He locks the metal frame with a soft, metallic click. Nearby sits a thick stack of unprinted rag paper. It was crafted from woven linen and soft cotton fragments. The sheets have been carefully dampened for the press. They are slightly cool, soft, and beautifully textured. If you touch a sheet, it feels like heavy fabric. It carries the faint, earthy scent of pure river water. The printer prepares his ink upon a flat marble block. He takes heavy leather dabbers to spread the dark liquid. The ink is a mix of rich lampblack and boiled resin. It makes a soft, rhythmic, sticky sound as he works. Thump. Thump. A steady heartbeat in the quiet sanctuary of the shop. He gently beats the ink onto the waiting lead type. The metal characters glisten under the solitary tallow candle. He lifts a single sheet of the damp, heavy paper. He positions it upon the tympan with practiced, fluid grace. He folds the frisket down to hold the sheet flat. With a smooth motion, he rolls the bed under the platen. The wooden carriage glides softly along iron rails. He grasps the heavy wooden handle known as the bar. He leans his tired weight smoothly into the pull. The iron screw turns with a low, deep wooden groan. The platen presses down onto the hidden, waiting paper. A firm, satisfying transfer of ink into soft, woven fiber. He releases the handle slowly, letting the press exhale. The wooden carriage glides back out from the deep shadows. He lifts the paper by its damp, fragile edges. The damp sheet reflects the amber glow of the candlelight. Deep, rich black letters stand out sharply against pale cream. We the people. The ink is thick, slightly raised, and beautifully wet. The words leap perfectly from the quiet expanse of paper. The printer inspects the dark lines with tired, careful eyes. He takes a small wooden peg to hang the sheet up. Above him, rows of drying wires stretch across the beams. The heavy paper whispers softly as it brushes another page. A gentle, papery rustle in the quiet, empty air. He realizes these simple, printed marks will outlast everything. They will certainly outlast the ink on his calloused hands. They will outlast the men who argued in the hall. They will outlast the sturdy brick walls of this city. The letters are a deeply quiet, enduring vessel of thought. The scent of drying ink slowly fills the small room. It is a sweet, sharp, and entirely permanent aroma. He continues his slow, rhythmic, solitary evening labor. Inking. Pressing. Lifting. Hanging. Far beyond the shop, a lone watchman walks the street. The gentle tap of his wooden staff against the stones. A muffled cough from a neighbor in the dark alley. A distant owl hoots from a towering, ancient elm tree. The city is completely, blissfully resting in deep sleep. Through this simple craft, a legacy is slowly born. Not in grand halls, but in quiet, humble workspaces. It is forged in the soothing textures of daily labor. The solid feel of metal, wood, and dampened rag paper. The quiet patience of the lonely, enduring craftsman. He folds his steady hands upon the heavy oak table. He watches the candle flame waver softly in a draught. The shadows sway beautifully across the dark, printed pages. The work is finally done for this cooling evening. Tomorrow, these very pages will journey far and wide. But tonight, they simply hang quietly in the darkness. They rest. The legacy slumbers in the warm, quiet air. Project_root, output 03_manuscript chapter 4.tagged ===. The great debates have finally reached their end. The heavy wooden doors of the assembly are drawn shut. Softer, outside, the evening air grows deeply calm and chill. Softer, autumn settles firmly over the cobblestone streets. Philadelphia slumbers beneath a vast, velvet night sky. The voices of statesmen have faded into pure silence. Down a narrow, winding brick alleyway, A single-paned window glows with warm, amber light. It is the modest workshop of a local printer. The air outside smells of distant pine wood smoke. Inside, it smells of rich, roasted linseed oil. Softer, a thick scent of dark ink and damp earth. Softer. The hearth fires in the corners have burned low. The heavy iron press dominates the center of the room. It stands like a quiet, sleeping giant in the shadows. A sturdy monument of solid oak, iron, and stone. Here, history takes its lasting, physical form. The master printer rests at his heavily scarred bench. His hands are rough, calloused, and stained completely dark. He is a quiet, devoted craftsman of enduring words. Softer, the delicate fate of a nation rests in his weary fingers. Softer, sigh, he breathes slowly in the quiet warmth of the shop. He reaches into a partitioned, shallow wooden case. The wood is smooth and polished from years of constant touch. He picks up a remarkably small piece of cast lead. It is dense, delightfully cool, and perfectly, sharply shaped. His roughened thumb gently traces the raised metal surface. Every carved edge is distinct, precise, and exact. It is the capital letter W. Softer, he places it perfectly into the heavy iron chase. Softer, then follows a smooth, lowercase e. These tiny fragments of metal hold immense, quiet power. He locks the metal frame with a soft, metallic click. Nearby sits a thick stack of unprinted rag paper. It was crafted from woven linen and soft cotton fragments. The sheets have been carefully dampened for the press. They are slightly cool, soft, and beautifully textured. Softer, if you touch a sheet, it feels like heavy fabric. Softer, it carries the faint, earthy scent of pure river water. The printer prepares his ink upon a flat marble block. He takes heavy leather dabbers to spread the dark liquid. The ink is a mix of rich lampblack and boiled resin. It makes a soft, rhythmic, sticky sound as he works. Thump, thump. Softer, a steady heartbeat in the quiet sanctuary of the shop. Softer. He gently beats the ink onto the waiting lead type. The metal characters glisten under the solitary tallow candle. He lifts a single sheet of the damp, heavy paper. He positions it upon the tympan with practiced, fluid grace. He folds the frisket down to hold the sheet flat. With a smooth motion, he rolls the bed under the platen. The wooden carriage glides softly along iron rails. He grasps the heavy wooden handle known as the bar. Sigh, he leans his tired weight smoothly into the pull. Softer, the iron screw turns with a low, deep wooden groan. Softer. The platen presses down onto the hidden, waiting paper. A firm, satisfying transfer of ink into soft, woven fiber. He releases the handle slowly, letting the press exhale. The wooden carriage glides back out from the deep shadows. He lifts the paper by its damp, fragile edges. The damp sheet reflects the amber glow of the candlelight. Softer, deep, rich black letters stand out sharply against pale cream. Softer, we the people. The ink is thick, slightly raised, and beautifully wet. The words leap perfectly from the quiet expanse of paper. The printer inspects the dark lines with tired, careful eyes. He takes a small wooden peg to hang the sheet up. Above him, rows of drying wires stretch across the beams. The heavy paper whispers softly as it brushes another page. Softer, a gentle, papery rustle in the quiet, empty air. Softer. He realizes these simple, printed marks will outlast everything. They will certainly outlast the ink on his calloused hands. They will outlast the men who argued in the hall. They will outlast the sturdy brick walls of this city. The letters are a deeply quiet, enduring vessel of thought. The scent of drying ink slowly fills the small room. It is a sweet, sharp, and entirely permanent aroma. Softer, he continues his slow, rhythmic, solitary evening labor. Softer, inking, pressing, lifting, hanging. Far beyond the shop, a lone watchman walks the street. The gentle tap of his wooden staff against the stones. A muffled cough from a neighbor in the dark alley. A distant owl hoots from a towering, ancient elm tree. Softer, the city is completely, blissfully resting in deep sleep. Softer. Through this simple craft, a legacy is slowly born. Not in grand halls, but in quiet, humble workspaces. It is forged in the soothing textures of daily labor. The solid feel of metal, wood, and dampened rag paper. Softer, the quiet patience of the lonely, enduring craftsman. Softer. He folds his steady hands upon the heavy oak table. He watches the candle flame waver softly in a draught. The shadows sway beautifully across the dark, printed pages. The work is finally done for this cooling evening. Sigh, tomorrow, these very pages will journey far and wide. But tonight, they simply hang quietly in the darkness. Softer, they rest. The legacy slumbers in the warm, quiet air. Softer. Project_root. Output 03_manuscript epilogue.md . Centuries have quietly slipped away since that quiet autumn night. The dim, yellow tallow candles have long since burned down. The heavy black ink on the damp parchment is perfectly dry. The humble printers and weary framers have gone entirely to rest. Yet, the profound echo of their quiet labor remains beautifully alive. It lingers softly in the very air we deeply breathe. Think of a massive, impossibly old, and weary oak tree. Its thick, knotted roots reach deep into the dark, silent soil. The massive trunk is heavy with absolutely countless passing years. Its vast canopy gently rustles in the warm, passing evening wind. This enduring tree originally grew from a single, quiet seed. A tiny seed placed gently in the hopeful soil of autumn. The pure ideas forged in that silent room comfortably endure today. They remain a quiet, reliable shelter in our loud, modern world. Just like the protective branches of the grand, ancient oak tree. They offer deeply comforting shade to a weary, resting traveler. They hold incredibly firm when the sudden, fierce storms eventually come. You can easily feel this beautifully enduring legacy everywhere today. You feel it whenever you gently tread across worn stone monuments. You hear it whenever a distant, ancient courthouse bell chimes softly. The dense, quiet past is never truly far away from you. It rests comfortably just beneath the surface of the waking world. Let the grand, sweeping tide of history slowly ebb gently away. The intricate, pressing details of countless centuries fading quietly into shadows, leaving behind only the deeply comforting essence of complete, total endurance. A profound, beautiful knowing that something greater effortlessly carries steadily on. You are completely surrounded by this enduring, comforting, absolute safety now. The bright lights of the modern city begin to slowly dim. The comforting, deep night gently reclaims the incredibly old, silent streets. Listen closely to the gentle, steady rustle of the passing wind. A distant clock tower finally chimes the deeply quiet midnight hour. The deep, totally resonant tone floats effortlessly through the absolute darkness. It echoes slowly off the heavy, sleeping, dark brick buildings. A soft, cool breeze lightly rustles the crisp, deeply dry leaves. The faint, gentle crackle of a peacefully dying, remarkably warm hearth. Deep, entirely warm embers glowing beautifully in the vast, deep night. The slow, completely steady sway of a heavy, solid wooden sign. A remarkably quiet rhythm in the vast, beautifully complete nocturnal stillness. Long shadows incredibly lengthen, slowly stretching into soft, quiet, grey mist. The whole beautiful world is completely at rest now. The night air is remarkably calm, totally cool, and peaceful. Grand history happily sleeps incredibly quietly beside you tonight. Rest now in the gentle, watchful silence. The wind carries softly through the quiet trees. Let the distant warmth surround your quiet spirit. The echoes of the deep past gently fade. A beautiful, profound calm settles across everything. Let yourself drift into the quiet darkness. The slow rhythm of the night remains. The hearth glows very faintly now. Just a soft, enduring whisper. Resting totally in peace. Close your weary eyes. Sleep gently. Deeply. Softly. Ambient tale begins, soft wind, fireplace crackle, very distant low breeze, fading to pure ambient sound. Project_root, output 03_ manuscript epilogue.tagged . Centuries have quietly slipped away since that quiet autumn night. The dim, yellow tallow candles have long since burned down. The heavy black ink on the damp parchment is perfectly dry. The humble printers and weary framers have gone entirely to rest. Softer, yet, the profound echo of their quiet labor remains beautifully alive. Softer, it lingers softly in the very air we deeply breathe. Think of a massive, impossibly old, and weary oak tree. Its thick, knotted roots reach deep into the dark, silent soil. The massive trunk is heavy with absolutely countless passing years. Its vast canopy gently rustles in the warm, passing evening wind. This enduring tree originally grew from a single, quiet seed. Softer, a tiny seed placed gently in the hopeful soil of autumn. Softer. The pure ideas forged in that silent room comfortably endure today. They remain a quiet, reliable shelter in our loud, modern world. Just like the protective branches of the grand, ancient oak tree. Sigh, they offer deeply comforting shade to a weary, resting traveler. They hold incredibly firm when the sudden, fierce storms eventually come. You can easily feel this beautifully enduring legacy everywhere today. You feel it whenever you gently tread across worn stone monuments. You hear it whenever a distant, ancient courthouse bell chimes softly. Softer, the dense, quiet past is never truly far away from you. Softer, it rests comfortably just beneath the surface of the waking world. Let the grand, sweeping tide of history slowly ebb gently away. The intricate, pressing details of countless centuries fading quietly into shadows. Softer, leaving behind only the deeply comforting essence of complete, total endurance. Softer, a profound, beautiful knowing that something greater effortlessly carries steadily on. You are completely surrounded by this enduring, comforting, absolute safety now. The bright lights of the modern city begin to slowly dim. Softer, the comforting, deep night gently reclaims the incredibly old, silent streets. Softer, listen closely to the gentle, steady rustle of the passing wind. A distant clock tower finally chimes the deeply quiet midnight hour. The deep, totally resonant tone floats effortlessly through the absolute darkness. Softer, it echoes slowly off the heavy, sleeping, dark brick buildings. Softer. A soft, cool breeze lightly rustles the crisp, deeply dry leaves. The faint, gentle crackle of a peacefully dying, remarkably warm hearth. Deep, entirely warm embers glowing beautifully in the vast, deep night. Softer, the slow, completely steady sway of a heavy, solid wooden sign. Softer, a remarkably quiet rhythm in the vast, beautifully complete nocturnal stillness. Long shadows incredibly lengthen, slowly stretching into soft, quiet, grey mist. The whole beautiful world is completely at rest now. Softer, the night air is remarkably calm, totally cool, and peaceful. Softer, grand history happily sleeps incredibly quietly beside you tonight. Softer, rest now in the gentle, watchful silence. Softer, the wind carries softly through the quiet trees. Let the distant warmth surround your quiet spirit. The echoes of the deep past gently fade. Sigh, a beautiful, profound calm settles across everything. Let yourself drift into the quiet darkness. The slow rhythm of the night remains. The hearth glows very faintly now. Just a soft, enduring whisper. Resting totally in peace. Close your weary eyes. Sleep gently, deeply, softly. Ambient tale begins. Soft wind, fireplace crackle, very distant low breeze, fading to pure ambient sound.